they have a really great way of mixing all this through the others. So let's hear from Audrey, and then we'll talk about, we'll move into territorial acknowledgement. What's its purpose?
Sklętna konstrukt kniekna kumakwiam harkwiten in August Kanasita, where we talk about protocol. It's a very personal and emotional topic, conversation, reality, I think, for more than just me. To be able to speak the language that my ancestors, our ancestors, have spoken since the first sunrise, to carry a name that has been passed down since 3 generations before my grandmother, to sit here with people who we've shared land and space and time and babies with hundreds, if not thousands of years. It's more than just protocol. What we are talking about is a way of living that was systematically forced out of us, and we were forced away from it. And as we navigate our way back to it, we are held accountable externally for everything within it. If there is an inconsistency, if somebody says Musqueam but not Salish and Squamish too, what did she mean? What did he mean? Or he did say all 3. What did he mean? If there are no one from these 3 nations present, but somebody stands up and acknowledges that this is the unceded lands, these people, they're not allowed to do that. So we are, as from my own experience, and I like Deb talked about, in our culture, my family lived until I was a child in a very traditional way in a lot of ways. At 2 or 3, I was already spending my time with my grandmother, bathing her, I was cooking for her, I spent time with her going around to do her work, to collect her medicine. I spun her wool, I pointed to the sheep just alongside of her and helped her wash it, dry it, card it, spin it. I had a glimpse of how our traditional world of medicine and I guess what's called healing has worked. That was passed down from generation to generation to generation, so far back, like Sealand said, keep your hand up. Well, we kept our hand up, and that means that those knowledges are still alive in us, but a lot of it is dormant. So when I am honored to be asked to come to a place to do a welcome and acknowledgement, as we've heard said, I don't just stand there. It's not actually even me doing that work. It is the thousands and thousands of years of ancestors who I represent simply because I exist that are coming through and doing that work. Where I come from with this work, despite the fact that a lot of my work is overshadowed by politics and economic stuff and environmental stuff, my work comes from a spiritual place. I am driven by and for my ancestors, and I struggle to do the best job I can everywhere I go. When I say a welcome, and I've been working on a new one because I feel the words that I use have almost, they don't land the same way. People are used to hearing them. So I'm reworking it. I'm using the words. I'm using the phrases. I'm putting things in different orders. Because like Deb also said, I don't want it to just be words. There has to be a connection. And when I stand in front of 5 people or a couple thousand people, I am open to and wanting to connect with every single person so you can feel what I'm feeling. And what I feel now is pride. What I feel now is honor. What I feel now is a connection that I never knew was possible. I grew up here in East Canada, a poor little brown girl who raised by a white dad, and half my time at my granny's house on the reserve, but I never got to play with the other kids. Most of the people in my community don't really have a clue who I am. When I came back about 6 years ago, people were like, who are you and where spent with my grandmother inside and where she went. My sister knows so much about the community and so many people. And I was too brown for one world. I was too white for the other world. Even my own granny said to me, you come and sit in my room and you talk like a Juanito. You don't talk like an Indian. You don't sound like an Indian, because I didn't have that reserved accent that always meant so much to me. But then out here, along with all of the other non-whites, along with all of the other brown people, I've always had to prove my worth. I have to be faster, I have to be smarter, I have to be meaner, I have to be more. And after 42 years, I'm learning to undo this and just be comfortable with who I am. And this is all tied up in everything each person is sharing here. And everything you guys are opening yourselves up to be a part of. We have a phrase, you've heard, each of us probably used it before, we're of one heart and one mind. This doesn't matter. This doesn't matter. The color of these doesn't matter. We are of one heart and one mind. And these forced external divisions that allow the system of oppression to continue, and the squabbling over what are important details, but first big stuff has to be worked out. We need to continue to empower and educate ourselves about who we are and who our ancestors were. I've had the benefit of all kinds of education, culture, music, language. The one thing that reconnected me to myself was when 6 years ago I signed up for our Musqueam UBC on reserve taught Huntsman language course. I've been in therapy and all kinds of medication for so long before that. Issues with anxiety and post-traumatic stress and obsessive compulsive. All that really happened, and please forgive my language, is that shit happened and I didn't know how to deal with it. Why didn't I know how to deal with it? I was so disconnected from myself, because that's the way it was supposed to be. At Sasnam, under the bridge. Someone handed me a drum. Casually, she said, oh, here, as she went to walk away. I didn't even feel like I had the right to touch that drum. I heard what everybody said. The drum is the heartbeat. The song is the medicine. This is healing. And I thought, I'm so messed up. There's no way there's no way. I should know. Like somebody else can. This is not right for this drum. I was worried I was going to hurt the drum. And what I needed was in that drum, was in those songs, was in the teachings, was in the language we hear, was in the languages and this land that we share. We are this land. Our ancestors are in this land. You take a little piece of our DNA, you're going to find the same thing that's in this land, and you take a little piece of us, and you're going to find, again, the same thing. For each person, it's the same thing for where your people come from. And we each deserve that connection. So when we speak of issues like protocol, and as you say, all the unpacking that comes with it, to ensure that each person is coming to it with the most open mind and the most open heart possible, is, to me, the first and foremost. My granny said, to do good work, you have to have an open mind and an open heart. And I struggle with it because I'm human. And I know that everybody else struggles with it. So to everybody here, I say, accept them for bringing your most open heart and open mind, because we are pitted against each other in so many ways. And I say, I won't fight. I'm not going to fight that battle. It's not a human battle. So we have much bigger fronts to continue moving forward, united with, and to make those changes so that it's so commonplace that people just don't just expect it and understand it, but people enjoy it. The same way, like when you're at the opera or symphony. For me, I get excited when I hear all the tuning going on down in the pit. So something good is coming. That's what I want the welcome to be. That's what I want the acknowledgement to be. Because it sets the tone, and it creates the space, and it sweeps the floor. It's like putting the down on the floor to purify and to clear out all the other stuff, so that the work is done in the best way possible, because we have shared and overlapping work. And to each of you, I say thank you for being here, for organizing, and Kadab, I say thank you for being here and for sharing so much of the work you do carries forward so much of what each of our people really, really, really needs. So I say thank you to everybody here. Thank you for listening.
Thank you, Audrey. One question from Stephen or comment from Stephen?
Okay. I wasn't sure if you were ready for that. Or
We're crashing through the time, but why don't you say something, Stephen, and then we'll carry on with the territorial acknowledgement conversation.
This is a journey that we all need to go through. I want to thank each and every one of you for being here. This is protocol. This is the beginning of protocol, understanding who we are as First Nations. I want to thank you for coming here and taking the time out and having the right attitude, because when we talk about issues of this nature, it is who we are. And when we talk about the TRC, it begins here. This is dialogue. This is dialogue between our peoples to your people, regardless of where you come from throughout the globe. This is dialogue at its best, where Canada comes to the table and hears us out. When you talk about protocol, I'm from Lytton, British Columbia, the place of two rivers. I'm in Tligatn First Nations. I want to thank you for including us into this roundtable dialogue discussion, and I think it's very important. My purpose for getting up here and speaking is that I was brought up in the residential school system with a disability. I was never brought up into our culture or learning its protocol. However, going through the system of the residential school has taught me a lot. And leaving the residential school and not knowing how to address protocol because we weren't taught. Because people with special needs, as they grew up to be adults, they were still treated like children. And now, when I go out, and when I was in residential school, a lot of us were considered apples. Red on the outside, white on the inside. But we were expected to bridge the gap between our First Nations and non-First Nations into the next millennium, to be that bridge of crossing over. And today we're still not expected or respected in our communities because we were the lost children. But now we're expected to lead our people into the next millennium with the tools we have. And now when I come into your nations, I want to know. Out of respect for you, you've welcomed people throughout this world for generations, for eons. Your peoples before you have welcomed peoples from throughout the world to your shores since time immemorial. I feel so passionate, not that I want to share about my story, but the very reason I'm here is I want to be able to continue this dialogue with Canada. This is only the beginning of protocol. Canada sees but a glimpse of what we deal with and what we're dealing with. And I want to really be able to encompass how is it that I am now considered a leader amongst my people in the downtown east side or throughout wherever I go. When we go out into the world, we represent our people. And I wasn't taught that, but I do believe the Creator has bestowed upon me, the gifts that I have. I do know about protocol. I'm 60 years old. But I've learned through observation of watching what is protocol if you've never been taught how to acknowledge the territory or the people you live, eat, drink, sleep, and enjoy the blossoms of their nourishing things they share with you. How do we go about sharing the real beauty of who you are as a people through protocol? And I also want to thank you on behalf of the Vancouver Movie Theatre and the Heart of the City Festival for giving us the opportunity to share the very beauty of our community, the downtown east side, once dubbed the poorest postal code in all of Canada. And what you brought up, Kalamka, we need to bring those people from the dregs of society, as some may call it, into the circle, regardless of where they are. And I'm not here to toot my own horn. I love this type of dialogue with people, regardless of who you are. I want going forward, if we are going to go forward, this is the way to go.